What up, y'all? It's your boy Who 74, and we back here for another epic smoke session slash review of One Piece. This week we got chapter what it is 1153. Picking up from where we left off last week. We've been on the road 3 weeks in a row. No, like what 3 4 weeks in a row. We ain't had no break yet. Knock on wood. I don't want to jinx it, but hell yeah. So where we leave off last chapter? Last chapter we left off with the flashback. Shit was just getting good with the King Harold flashback. We got to the part where we started off at an earlier flashback where uh 45-year-old 15-year-old in human years Loki was summoned back to the castle with Elder Jarul without the sword in his head. And right when they arrived in the king's throne room, they literally showed up right as King Harold was getting his ass pierced by his soldiers. Now, when I was doing the review last week, I did say that Harold's silhouette looked like it was um 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 demi reverse it. You feel me? Like he was a silhouette. His silhouette seemed like he was the demon. But as I was watching other people's reviews and stuff, somebody pointed out that it actually looks like the guards that were piercing him. They had horns on their head too. Now I don't know if that was just part of the helmet or if they had ancient giant DNA in them also, or if that was just them like really shorty be having fucking being demonified. You feel me? Shit. I like this. I got this when I was in Vegas the last time we went. The last time we went. Vegas is one of my favorite places to go. Go there quite often. All right. So we're gonna start off this week. Let's get into it with the Holy Inari Shrine Pilgrimage, volume number 37. With this chapter, I think Yamato slash Odin might be gay. And it's understandable because Yamato thinks that she's a guy. So, because this lady, whoever this is, just happy as shit to see Yamato. It says Daimyo of Rango, Kiku, Ikunojo, and Boss Ocho. All right. So, let's flame up before we get any further. Y'all already know how we go. Sit back, relax, flame up, and review with me. If you guys do not have any smokes to smoke on your own, feel free to smoke my blunt whenever I put it to the screen. All right. Today we smoking a joint and it is from Wise Guys. Strawberry guava. Strawberry guava. Let's see. Strawberry straw nana, X papaya. Straw nana and papaya. Let's see. 100% bud, shorty. This is 25%. That's not bad at all. Ain't gonna have us too high. Chill while we review. This ain't shit. I got a motherfucking can that's 93. But it's gonna do us. Alright, shorty. So we start off with it looks like we going further back into a flashback because now we got a very young Harold and looks like two other giants. It says Prince Harold of Elbath lived out his rather unhinged childhood years alongside Dory and Broggy. So Dory, Broggy, and Harold are all best friends. Thanks to his innate Thanks to his innate size and strength, gifts from his ancient giant blood as well as his noble status, he developed an inflation sense of self and no one could stop him from growing into a royal pain. Hit blunt, 'cause Harold just knew he was the shit. That's what they telling us right there. He just knew he was the sugar honey iced tea. Like he was aware of his strength. He knew he was bigger than everybody else. He knew he had ancient giant blood. It was the reason for all that. So, and he had noble status. Yeah, he thought he was the shit. Then we got some dialogue from Harold. We see him chilling on a boat with what seems to be other giants, but he's just so fucking big over everybody else, which is crazy. And he just laid out chilling. Like these giants look like how Luffy looks to Hydrogen. That's how they look to fucking Harold. And Harold was just laying back, digging in his nose, saying everyone outside of Elbath is so tiny and pitiful and boring. Don't you agree? And then the rest of the itty bitty giants on the ship says, "Of course, Your Majesty. You're exactly right." Then we get back to a dialogue bubble that says Bunt Kingdom, New World. Okay, so that's what we are, the Bunt Kingdom in a new world. We see somebody screaming, "Come on, come out, come on, come all. Marvel at the 10-meter woman. Feel the earth tremble as she walks. Cover your ears. When she barks thunder, a rare giant from the exotic land of Elbath. Feast your eyes on Ida." And we see what seems to be another ancient giant inside a cage with a guy with a whip, what seems to be the little circus guy, because it's clearly a circus. You can see it from the picture where we get the Blunt Kingdom New World, like a circus tent. And the way he introduced her is definitely a main attraction circus type thing. Hey, Blunt again. Yeah, so she's in the cage. She's growling, grrr. People running away. He's scared. Some people happy. Some people just going, nah. Some people scared. And then the guy says, "Step away from the cage if you don't want to be hurt." And this giant lady that's in the cage seems to be an ancient giant too, 'cause she got horns also. So Harold sees that from the docks while he's approaching the docks on this ship. And he's like turning the giant into a sideshow. They've got some nerve, so he pissed off. Yeah, how the fuck they capture her in the first place? That's the question. Like humans ain't that capable, and that's an ancient giant. Like without a devil fruit, bro, how the fuck you capture her? Somebody got to tell me something. Older got some explaining to do. This clearly has to be Loki's mom. All right. So now the giant pirate ship is approaching the docks, and they all hyped up. They thought the L bath was a joke. Well, look who's laughing now. So it looks like they burnt the place down and saved her. She says, "Who are you?" And they back on the ship now, but the ship is sailing away from a smoking island. Ida says, "Who are you?" Harold says, "No need to thank me. I'm King of Elbath. I won't stand to see my homeland disrespected like that." And then Ida, who apparently doesn't have horns anymore, so she might not be an ancient giant, jumps up and smacks the fuck out Harold. She must have liked where she was at. And everybody is screaming, "Your Majesty, King Harold." They all shocked. He looking shocked too. And she says, "Turn the ship around. I need to apologize. So many people were hurt back there." And then Harold gets mad and he's like, "Are you insane? You care about that mini kingdom of tiny humans?" And then she pieced his ass up again and says, "Do I have to hit you again?" She says, "They saved my life when I was washed up on their shore and gave me a job too to do. They were kind enough to help me make a living until I was fully healed." Okay, so she didn't get captured. She was repaying a favor because I was confused on how the fuck them humans captured the fucking giant, or what I thought to be an ancient giant at the time at that. And then she says, "What do you mean, tiny humans? Just because you happen to be born huge and are coincidentally strong and brutish, you actually think that makes you better than humans? How can you be so arrogant? It's pathetic. This is why everyone thinks that all giants are barbaric, brutish, and as are are barbaric and brutish in Elbath." I'm assuming that meant in Elbath because it says as Elbath. That's what fucked me up. So she just checked his ass. Now he feeling kind of stupid. She said, "Just because," he says, "just because I was born huge, huh?" So clearly she got him second guessing shit. So they go back to the island. She helps them fix everything. She apologizing. She says, "Should we just set sail?" No, that's what one of the other giants say. "Should we just set sail, King Harold? Why are we all just spacing out?" And then King Harold says, "Go and help her, you ninnies. That town is tiny as model. It's easy work." And they run off. "Yes, Your Majesty," and the giants are helping. So no, Ida isn't an ancient giant because she's actually the same size as all the other giants that Harold been bossing around this whole time. And like I said, they are literally the same size to him as humans are. Those giants are the same size to Harold as the humans are to them. So how the Harold fuck her, I don't know. But at the same time, Copper did have sex with Gerd. Copper did have sex with Gerd. I mean, that makes most sense. You feel me? That's no damage done. It's just more like Gerd shouldn't have felt shit. But unless Copper went in that motherfucker and did this wild dance of love, but like crawled all the way in that motherfucker. But with the Harold situation, it's more so like I'm more concerned because it's like, you feel me, when he hurt her. Anyway, hit blunt. All right, there we go. So it looks like they're all done fixing the town. Um, Somebody says their method of construction is completely different from ours. We should tell everyone about it when we return to Elbath. I want to bring home some of their spices. I've never tasted flavors like these before. So the giants mingled with the humans a little bit, and they just obsessed with everything that these fucking humans do. The way they build, they spices, you feel me? They food. Notice how handy their fabric is, and yet it's so fine. These humans are more skilled than we realize. So Harold and the rest of the giant pirates. I guess they now getting along with the humans. Gerd, Ida got him. You feel me? Feeling a little bit different. We see some more dialogue bubbles. Somebody says you have to see things from their eye level, Harold. Nothing in the world is meant to be destroyed. So this is Ida talking to Harold the whole time. She says, I was born on Samwani Island in the South Blue. Samwani Island in the South Blue. After some twists and turns, my life path brought me here. So you crossed the serpent of blood. And they say you mean the red line. Okay, so the serpent of blood is the red line. So we see Ida and Harold look like they met some humans. And they like, oh, so you crossed the serpent of blood. And the humans like, you mean the red line? Well, yes, which is why I can't go back home. Oh no, that's what Ida is telling Harold. Harold then says, then come to Elbath, where not as barbaric as you say. She says, oh, maybe I was mistaken about you too. We see one of the guards, the royal guards, just watching Harold and Ida talk. And when they say King Harold's changed, yeah, it's creepy, but I bet it won't last long. And then we get to Elbath 150 years ago. Somebody says, I wish to atone for all my countless crime. Somebody else says, what's gotten into you, Harold? So yeah, that's Harold saying he wants to atone. Let's switch so you guys can review with me now. Somebody questions what gotten into you, Harold. Harold says, I may be out of the country more often than I wish, but it is only to join hands with our neighbors and ask them to teach us their culture. If we learn from the rest of the world, we can make our land and lives richer. Somebody else says, yeah, but Dory and Bragi are still raising hell out there. Harold says, they're my good friends of mine, but have always been eccentric. They're cordial with they're cordial with humankind and follow a code of honor. It doesn't hurt that they can fight, of course, but if they pose too much of a threat to the other nations, we may have to ring them in. And we see Ja Rule and his brother, who is still alive at this time. Big Mom ain't ate him yet. One of them says, what a turnabout. And then Ja Rule says meeting new people took him on a journey. And somebody says, Harold, no, Elbath is blessed with luck. So we cut over to one of the ships, and that is Harold's ship. Like we going through a couple of different like moments in time. Harold on the ship drinking with the rest of with some humans. Harold writing in the book while Ida sleeps. You feel me? Um, Stuff like that's going on. But while that's going on, we still get more dialogue. Somebody says, Elbath is blessed with good luck. For example, by sending diplomats back and forth, we can help deepen the ties and friendship between nations. I see. So I see. So we're each taking hostages. Then don't say it like that. It means that countries can't get to be friends. unless the people in them are connected somehow. Elbath, 81 years ago. Fishman Village, Eastern Elbath. Fisherman Village, Eastern Elbath. Okay, so we see somebody says the baby's born. Congratulations, Lord Harold and Ida. So by this time, Harold and Ida has a baby. So we went from 105 years ago to 81 years ago. So we're a little bit further in the future. Harold and Ida got a baby now. Harold says, "Thank you all." And now Ida and I can. And then somebody says, "No, you are forbidden from marrying her. The royal line must remain pure of blood." And we then see Harold, Ida, and the baby. Harold is saying, "I'm sorry, Ida. It galls me that it must come to this. This is just how the culture works. You can't get emotional." And he says, "Galls me that it comes to this." And then Ida says, "This is just how the culture works. You can't get emotional or fight against it." She says, "You're always welcomed in our." Then one of the other giants says, "You're always welcomed in our village, Ida." Ida says, "As long as you live in the same country as Daddy, you will be happy, right, Hyrugen?" Also, that's Hyrugen's mom. Ida is Hyrugen's mom. And then we see what looks to be another giant lady that says, "This is your true betrothed." Somebody says, "This is your true betrothed Harold." So this is Harold's true wife. Her name's Estrid. It says Estrid's blood is pure and ancient. She is the one worthy of being our queen. Okay, so she is the one with ancient giant blood. And she roughly about the same size as him. She says, "I was born in a Bura village to the north, and I study geomancy. It is my fate to love you for the rest of my life. Forget all about that woman and child to the east." Harold says, "Oh, that's no I." Then Estrid says, "Good heavens, the spirit is escaping to the east. Your good luck is getting in the way. We must close those windows at once." And that mirror, it is in that mirror, it's in the 5-star kill position. Destroy it at once. So she just making changes and shit. She got a horse. She says, "This is Elsa, the horse of good fortune. It's a gift from my clan, the perfect mount for you, King Harold. I have no doubt that this horse will bring you great luck. It's enormous, and somebody says it's enormous, and why does it have 8 legs?" Yeah, it's a fucking giant horse with 8 legs. Fuck is it mixed with octopus? So she got the guards bringing in jewelry and gold. She really trying to impress Harold. So yeah, she doing a bunch of dick riding. I ain't reading that. But they listening to her doing all this talking, and the guards are questioning if she is like just after luxury and shit like that. So now we go about 9 more years into the future, because now it says 70 years ago, in the era where rigorous of the seas made it difficult to maintain trade between islands. Elbaf's skills at navigation was the envy of other nations. When we see Harold holding a ship, he says he's like he holding a human ship in his hand. He says there's a star to the north that never moves called the pole star. So he explained to the humans how to navigate. Somebody asking him questions. "You said you met a mermaid king, Harold." Harold says, "Yes, I have at last fishmen too, in a kingdom where those with fish blood live. There's their king has a newborn, a newborn hare named Neptune." Okay, so he met Neptune when he was a baby, King Neptune of Fishman Island. Their king has a newborn heir named Neptune. All the creatures of the sea, not just the mermaids and fishmen, were engaged in a grand celebration that spanned the seafloor. And we cut to Oris Castle, Elbaf, 63 years ago, while Harold was away from home. "Congratulations, my queen. It's a very healthy boy. His name is Loki. The king and I decided on it." "Show me my baby." So, what's her name? Astrid gave birth to Loki while Harold was away. And oh shit, when they brought that baby to her folks ass got the little horns and he got some evil ass eyes. He got slit eyes and you could tell his shit is like not regular pupils or nothing from how it's drawn. She sees that and she is terrified. She says it's horrid. What is that thing? That is no son of mine. And nurses are saying, "Please, Your Majesty, try to remain calm." She says, "Tell the kingdom that it was a stillborn." And they like, "You can't be serious." She says, "It is accursed. Just look at that baby. It's a monster." Loki is hearing that as a baby and he understands what's going on. The Prince of Elbaf grasped for the empty air, but no hands reached out to envelop his own. "Stop, Your Majesty. He's the royal heir." She threw that baby off the damn. She threw his ass to hell. "The most unfortunate of all living creatures is the one whose very existence is denied by his mother in the moment of his birth. Do you hear me? I bore no child. Do not tell a soul about this." One of the guards says, "But what are you planning to do?" She says, "I'm going back home. I never want to bear another child." So he's like, "But Your Majesty, down in the underworld." And she like, "What about the underworld?" She don't get no fuck. You see a baby Loki crying, bloodied up. That's sad as hell. Crying, bloodied up, like he clinging to the tree trying to climb up or some shit. And then somebody says, "Get rid of the child." There was a prophecy before it was even born. The prophecy said that the King Harold will one day be killed by his own son. One of the guards says, "Not that's madness, not that madness again." And we get some dialogue that says that while Harold was busy banging his head against the problem of the national relations, the world government has stepped in to block our path again. We can't Why can't countries be free to decide for themselves? Okay, let me stop. Okay, let's that was a dialogue bubble. What did that pick up from though? But it just says, "And while Harold was busy banging his head against the problem of national relations." So Harold was sitting with his hand in his head, and he's saying the world government has stepped in to block our path again. Why can't why can't countries be free to decide for themselves? So this most likely where he get introduced to the government. Um, we then see Ida with the baby Hydrogen, and she says, "Hey, can I see the baby too? He's your brother." Hydrogen says, "He's not your son, so he's not my brother." And then Ida says, "Oh, you're even sweet like that." We see a dialogue bubble that says, "All of the misfortunes that will fall upon Elbath would be known as Loki's curse." So just for the simple fact that the people who knew about Loki being born and thrown off that cliff, they blame everything bad that happens in Elbath on him as far as like a curse for what happened to him. Yeah, he crying. Alright. So that's where the Loki's curse thing come from. And we also see down in hell, looks like Loki is a little bit older now. And he got his little um fucking Kanabo and like he just knocked out a bunch of giant creatures from the underworld. His mama fell ill. Okay, so after his mama fell ill, that's when they started blaming all the misfortunes on him. And they was technically saying that was her karma for what she did to him because she fell ill kind of after. So while Harold was busy banging his head against the problems of the national relations, Queen Estrid fell ill. So Estrid fell ill, Loki, Mama, not Ida. All of the misfortunes that will fall upon Elbaf will be known as Loki's curse. Loki had a fuck to be continued. No breaks next week. Loki had a fucked up past. The nigga was technically what? Like, how old is he, bro? The nigga was a baby when he got thrown down there, and we see him standing right there in the fucking corner, like with a cannibal and a helmet and shit on. So he gotta be at least like 5 or some shit human years, which would be what? Let's see. So it's a 30-year difference in human years, and human years in Elbaf years. Because when Harold was 45 in giant years, that was 15 in human years. Or vice versa, whatever the fuck y'all know what I'm talking about. So Loki would have to be if he's no. I'll figure it out another time. I ain't got time for that right now. I just did that all the way wrong already, and I feel stupid as fuck. Ain't got time for it. But that was an amazing chapter. Definitely was, and like I said, Loki had a sad past. Really much didn't go on though, so it ain't much for me to talk about. Just curious to get more information about why Loki looks like that. Like now I'm more confident than ever that he has something to do with that motherfucking ancient serpent because they mentioned the blood serpent, aka Red Line, in the same chapter that they showed Loki eyes like that. Clearly serpent eyes. He's an ancient giant, and then the serpent on the mural had like the little cloth on it or the pattern on it that the ancient giants on the mural also had. So like I don't think it's a coincidence that they just like wow, just all of a sudden, wow, you feel me, giving us a flashback just threw in the grand line. It wasn't just about meant her crossing it and not being able to get back home. Ida, that is. It wasn't just about that. I mean, yeah, that's what they threw it in there, but I'm telling you, you feel me? Because they called it the blood serpent and everything. They mentioned it by that name for a reason. That was like a little Easter egg moment. In the next chapter or the chapter after that, because you know how One Piece get, bro. Like One Piece, I love it. Don't get me wrong, but the fact that what I'm gonna say can be bagged up because One Piece has a lot of bullshit episodes. A lot of bullshit episodes. So you know how One Piece get. It could be like 3, 4 flashbacks before we finally get 3, 4, 5 more chapters before we get anything in regards to why the fuck Loki ass look like that. But and the reason why I say that is because you know they making a remake of One Piece. They remaking the episodes with modern up-to-date animations, and they put out some information that all these arcs are being cut down. You feel me for like more of a speed pace through. So that means they cutting out hell of bullshit episodes and really just leaving the important stuff and the relevant stuff in. And that's how you know that One Piece has a lot of bullshit episodes for it to have this many. You feel me? But I'll see you guys next week. We'll see what's going on then. And until then, you guys have a wonderful day. Who's Who 74? We signing out.